The challenges facing young Americans today are unique and daunting. In small towns and big cities alike, young people increasingly are in need of caring, supportive adult relationships, incentives for healthy behavior, safe and decent places to gather, learn, work, play, and live. They also need early childhood education and extra tutoring in and out of school. The President's Summit for America's Future challenges every community to map out and implement an action plan that will create quality in-school and after-school tutoring, mentoring, and learning opportunities for every child who needs such support. Chicago's Tutor-Mentor Connection is such an action plan. It has been operating for 3 years. We think it can be duplicated anywhere by any business, civic, or leadership group. Who are we? The Tutor-Mentor Connection was created and is led by a small nonprofit based in Chicago. Our offices are in donated space at the corporate offices of Montgomery Ward. The TMC is a marketing plan to increase after-school tutoring and mentoring opportunities for thousands of children living in high-risk neighborhoods throughout Chicago. In the next few minutes, we will describe the basic components of the Tutor-Mentor Connection. We hope you will want to call us to learn more about how you might build such a connection in your own community. The TMC is a 4-part marketing plan modeled after best practices of for-profit businesses: research, public relations and communications, resource building, training, and support. First, there's research. We are trying to learn everything we can about tutoring and mentoring in Chicago and throughout America. We want to know who does this work, where are they located, what practices work best, and what training is available. As we build our knowledge, we share what we know through a quarterly newsletter, which we distribute to 8,000 people in Chicago and around the country, spring and fall citywide conferences and volunteer training events, newspaper, television, and radio reports, and one-on-one consulting. We also produce a directory that lists every tutor-mentor program in Chicago and distribute it to businesses, schools, community agencies, and to potential volunteers and donors. Next, there's public relations and communications. While the shooting of a child or reports of poorly performing schools generate occasional media reports, the TMC seeks to build a more regular frequency of messages that draws visibility, volunteers, and dollars to programs throughout the city with a reach that extends into the city's suburbs and continues year after year. Our message is simple. Kids need positive adults in their lives. Anyone can connect with a child through a well-organized tutor-mentor program. Anyone can use the TMC directory to find a program where they can volunteer, become a donor, or become a partner. We work to get this message in local television and radio broadcasts, in newspapers, as well as in association journals, church bulletins, business publications, and school newspapers. Next, there's resource building. Our media campaign attempts to create support from groups of people who adopt tutoring and mentoring as their group's cause. The Chicago Bar Association, a 22,000-member group, has a full range of strategies which support tutoring and mentoring throughout Chicago, ranging from fundraising to recruiting and training teams of judges and lawyers who partner with neighborhood programs. The flags on this map show sites where CBA teams work with neighborhood children. We produce maps like this so that other legal groups might duplicate the CBA initiative so that more programs can have law teams from the American Bar or Illinois Bar or Hispanic Bar Associations. Any group can develop a strategic outreach to support tutoring and mentoring. Alumni, social clubs, professional groups, businesses, and trade associations can each develop strategies that increase their support from year to year and increase the quality of tutoring and mentoring from year to year. And finally, there's training and support. This is the greatest challenge for Chicago or any city. We need to help program leaders build programs that will last for many years, and we need to provide training and support for volunteers so they will stay with tutoring and mentoring longer and with more success. Ultimately, our success in attracting and keeping business volunteers will lead to a transfer of business practices and skills into tutor-mentor programs, which will help leaders build more effective and longer-lasting programs. In 1994, the TMC organized Chicago's first Tutor-Mentor Leadership Conference. 70 people gathered to share ideas and best practices. Since then, 5 more conferences have been held, with attendance averaging close to 200. The Chicago Public Schools are now one of many organizational partners in these conferences. Each conference also provides hands-on volunteer training, inviting volunteers from any program in the city to participate, and showing leaders how this training might be duplicated in their own programs. The TMC also uses quarterly newsletters to share best practices and promote tutoring and mentoring to potential business partners, and is building a library of case histories, research and training manuals, which it shares with others who are looking for information or one-on-one consultations, which can help them build new or existing programs. While the TMC continues to learn more and connects with more and more people and organizations which seek to help children, it has organized quarterly citywide events to bring visibility, volunteers, and dollars to programs. Each year since 1994, the media generated by these events has reached audiences of over 5.4 million, with print, television, and radio messages intended to build visibility, volunteers, and dollars for Chicago's tutor mentor programs. Since the school year starts in the fall, our schedule of events starts with an August-September citywide volunteer recruitment campaign. More than 40 groups, including the Chicago Public Schools, a variety of tutor mentor programs, more than a dozen corporations, and various media outlets have joined the TMC-led campaign to recruit volunteers for all of Chicago's tutor mentor programs. Nearly 1,400 prospective volunteers responded to the 1996 campaign. Mary D. of Superstation WGN-TV will be the spokesperson for the 1997 campaign. In November, once programs have started their fall activities and held their own orientations and volunteer training sessions, the TMC hosts the first of 2 yearly leadership conferences. Leaders, sponsors, and volunteers from more than 100 tutor mentor programs use these conferences to share ideas, learn new techniques, and promote effective tutoring, mentoring, and school-to-work practices. The conferences are co-sponsored by Chicago Public Schools. The Mayor of Chicago has proclaimed the second week of November to be Tutor Mentor Week for the past 3 years. Organized by the TMC and the Chicago Bar Foundation, the goal is to bring visibility, volunteers, and dollars to tutor mentor programs throughout the city by creating media stories, site visits, and by encouraging individual groups to hold volunteer recognition and fundraising events during the week. Once volunteers come out of the December holidays, they seem to hit a wall. Tutoring and mentoring is not always easy. Kids don't respond as fast as volunteers expect, and a year-long commitment begins to stretch longer and longer. Many volunteers and students begin to lose interest and leave at this time of the year. Cabrini Connections has organized a film festival to bring attention to tutoring and mentoring and to motivate volunteers to stay with programs longer. With videos produced by teens, TMC is telling the story of tutoring and mentoring and of the great benefits these programs offer. The film festival creates media coverage on radio and TV. As the school year comes to a close, the Spring Leadership Conference focuses attention on starting the next school year, building from the lessons of the current year's program. This conference serves as a year-end recognition, begins to organize fall volunteer recruitment, and helps programs share strategies for summer tutor-mentor activities. While TMC events create reasons for newspapers, television, and radio to talk about tutoring and mentoring, the TMC is piloting the use of Geographic Information System mapping technology. With this system, we hope to spread attention beyond the few high-visibility points in Chicago which seem to be magnets for repeated media. Geographic Information System mapping is not a new technology, but few businesses or social service organizations use it. Only in the past few years have mapping programs become available for PC users. Only in the past few years have PCs had enough power to operate mapping software. With help from IBM, Northern Illinois University, and the Metro Chicago Information Center, the TMC has built a GIS that maps the location of tutor-mentor programs on overlays that also show high concentrations of poverty. Because a map is a picture, it helps users understand data more easily. It can focus attention on areas where there is the greatest need, such as this map, which shows areas determined by Voices for Illinois Children to be neighborhoods where nearly 240,000 children live in an at-risk environment. We overlay tutor-mentor program sites on such a map, showing the locations of programs included in the tutor-mentor directory. While a directory can list hundreds of programs, only a map can show the relative concentration of these programs in any neighborhood. The TMC encourages media to include maps like this in follow-ups to stories that appear in the daily papers. One example shows a June 1995 Chicago Sun-Times report of a shooting in one neighborhood. Another is a report about a Habitat for Humanity project which had been launched by Jimmy Carter in 1986. These maps show if a neighborhood has tutor-mentor programs, the extent of poverty in the area, and locate poorly performing schools to create a needs service call to action. At the same time, the TMC can plot businesses, hospitals, churches, and universities which also operate in the same area. Using the TMC directory, this creates a call to action to any community group or community leader and provides a phone number and address for a tutor-mentor program in the neighborhood, so they can call the program with a "How can I help?" message. Take a look at these maps. They show the density of public schools, the concentration of schools on probation, and poverty levels. In the middle are known sites of various forms of tutoring and mentoring. Our goal is to help connect volunteers and corporate partners with each existing program to help them improve and extend the quality of their services, while using the map to help us see voids where no programs exist. The TMC updates its maps on a regular basis, issuing a challenge to all of Chicago. Until we have quality tutor mentoring programs serving children in every neighborhood, we have not fulfilled our commitment to America's children. Let's summarize. The tutor-mentor connection involves research, public relations and communications, resource building, and training and support. The TMC uses special events to provide training, recruit volunteers, and bring visibility to programs. It seeks partners to help bring general operating dollars to fund neighborhood programs. Can a TMC be built in your city? Isn't this awfully expensive? Yes, it can be duplicated. No, it doesn't have to be expensive. The TMC was created and is led by one small nonprofit, which operates its own tutor-mentor program in one neighborhood of Chicago. We think other cities can build from our example.
Hi, I'm Dan Bassel. I'm president of Cabrini Connections and founder and leader of the Tutor Mentor Connection. I've been leading a tutor mentor program since 1975, first as a volunteer, now as a full-time avocation and occupation. Cabrini Connections was formed in November of 1992 by a team of 7 volunteers to provide tutoring, mentoring, and school-to-work support to teens living in Cabrini Green, a high-visibility public housing development in Chicago. We started our own tutor mentor program in January '93 with less than 5 students. Yet today, 100 students and more than 120 volunteers participate in a variety of activities. Several students have already graduated from high school and are now in college or working. Several of the 7th and 8th graders who joined the program 3 years ago are now sophomores and juniors in high school. The Tutor Mentor Connection was launched in January 1994 and has held 6 conferences since its first conference in May of that year. It has built a library of model programs which might be duplicated and has reached an audience of more than 5 million people each year since 1994 through print, radio, and television, and has developed each of the events described in this video. Cabrini Connections has raised all of the money needed to fund these efforts from private sources, individuals, and corporations and foundations. Starting with no money in January of '93, we raised $275,000 in 1996 alone to operate both the 100-student Kids Connection and the Tutor Mentor Connection. While public relations efforts and legal fees in some cities range into the millions of dollars, the cost of Chicago's Tutor Mentor Connection seems like a bargain. All it takes is a few very dedicated people to make this a reality. While we're pleased with our progress, we know we have just begun to scratch the surface of what needs to be done. Every conversation we have is a learning one, where someone else helps us make our own programs better or helps the Tutor Mentor Connection be more effective. There is no magic formula for attracting and keeping children in these programs. I don't think anybody has a few words that will automatically change the life of a child born into neglect. Over the years, I've learned that every child is different, and there is no single formula or set of words that said one way, one time, can turn a child's life around. I have learned how little we knew of how to do this and began reaching out to others who also were struggling to succeed. That began a connection between myself and leaders of tutor mentor programs that now has been formalized into a Tutor Mentor Connection and increases each day as we meet people from throughout the city and country who are involved in some form of tutoring and mentoring. The lesson of the TMC is that we need to constantly benchmark ourselves against our peers to make sure we are doing the very best work possible. We need to actively borrow ideas and share our own successes. No single organization will ever operate a silver bullet type program with one short-term magic interaction which changes a child's life for the better. Nor will any of us ever operate a program that serves each child in the entire city, no matter how large our programs are. That means each of us must try to help each other be as good as we can. The Tutor-Mentor Connection also shows that one organization or group of organizations, with the help of the mayor, a few business executives, and the CEO of the public schools, can look at an entire city using maps showing areas of need, service providers, and potential partners, and create an ongoing call to action and program support system for every program, so that ultimately every child has greater access to a good tutoring, mentoring, and school-to-work program, not just the few who are lucky enough to live close to an existing program. The Tutor-Mentor Connection stands ready to be your partner in helping you develop a connection of tutor-mentor programs in your own community. We hope some of you will want to be our partner as we seek to continue to improve the quality of work we do in Chicago. We appreciate all the support we can get. This means volunteers, computers and software, and this means dollars. Thank you for your interest in helping children. I really look forward to talking with you in the future.